Informational books are nonfiction and present current and accurate knowledge about something found in our universe. The information in them is verifiable in published sources, such as books and magazines, in original sources, such as letters and journals, or from first-hand observable facts. Expository writing, which is using language to explain or convey information, is typically used in this genre. When we read informational books, we can expect to learn information about a particular subject. The book exists to introduce the reader to the world or to present something particular about it, so the content must be factual and dependable. Typically, this genre has a stigma of being a bit dull and dry. However, authors and publishers have discovered that the purpose of an informational book is not merely to present data, but to stir readers' interest in a particular subject. Skilled writers, regardless of the genre, create an interest by the ways they approach their subjects and shape their books. Types of informational books include traditional chapter books, books that introduce or explain one subject in a traditional chapter book format. Examples include Escape from the Ice and Orbis Pictus. Informational picture books, which present accurate and appealing content aimed at awakening an interest in the reader. These books are similar to the chapter books, but they are usually taller, thinner, and more heavily illustrated. Examples include A Really Short History of Nearly Everything and Mysterious Messages. Activity books are any book that invite the reader to engage in a specific activity beyond their reading. These books include science experiments, how-to, craft, and cookbooks. Easy to make pop-ups and fun with hieroglyphics are examples of these books. Concept books are simplified picture books that present basic knowledge about one topic in a way both understandable and interesting for children beginning to learn about the world. Examples include Big and Little and So Many Circles, So Many Squares. Journals and interviews, which offer information directly to the reader with only a minimum of author manipulation. These include How It Feels to Live with a Physical Disability and A Young Writer. Photo essays, which employ photographs in a journalistic fashion to capture emotion and to verify information. Volcano, the eruption and healing of Mount St. Helens, and Our World of Water, Children and Water Around the World are examples of this. Pop-ups, books that have manipulative or three-dimensional pages. Some examples include Moon Landing and Predators. Reference books, which include encyclopedias, dictionaries, and atlases. Encyclopedia of the End, Mysterious Death in Fact, Fancy, and Folklore and More, and Scholastic Encyclopedia of the Presidents and Their Times are examples of reference books. And lastly, there's series. Informational books with ready-made topics such as presidents or states. One example is the Don't Know Much About series.
This genre is important because it presents current and accurate knowledge about things found in our universe. These books help children gain knowledge about certain subjects they are interested in, from books about bugs, such as the book called Bugs and Insects by Anne Rockwell, to books that make learning about nouns fun, such as the book Merry-Go-Round, a book about nouns by Ruth Heller. Many students choose nonfiction for personal reading less frequently than they pick fiction books. Our textbook gives us 3 reasons why children do not flock to informational books. Number 1, informational books traditionally are not used for pleasure reading. Number 2, children's visits to the informational section of the library often are not by choice. Number 3, information books have a reputation for being boring. But today's nonfiction books for children are becoming more attractive and appealing. No other children's literature has made such a dramatic advance in gaining children's attention. This is due to authors and publishers discovering that the purpose of informational books is not merely to present data, but to stir readers' interest in a particular subject. Something that I appreciate about informational books is that they can teach us about important topics in a fun and interesting way. For example, Ruth Heller's book, Fantastic, Wow, and Unreal, a book about interjections and conjunctions. Her books teach parts of speech and grammar in a fun and appealing way for children.
The writer of a compelling nonfiction book does not simply collect and display facts, but weaves information and details together so the reader finds the subject irresistible. Typically, when trying to find a good informational book, people pick up the book and thumb through the pages for no more than a minute or so. If we are not caught before the time is up, we tend to put the book back on the shelf. Usually, the catching comes during the first minute and generally for one of the following 5 reasons. The first one is an attractive design. An informational book may have solid and thoughtful content, but if it does not have visual appeal, such as an attractive cover, interesting photographs or illustrations, and varied page layout, it seldom gets a chance to work on a child unless someone else points out the book's strengths. Tunnell had a great quote about attractive design saying, "The design of a book helps in 2 ways to capture readers. The first is catching the reader's attention, and the second is keeping it." The second one is little-known facts. Information becomes interesting when details are included. Details in nonfiction make the difference between showing and telling. This difference often accounts for readers becoming interested in a new subject or ignoring it. Little-known facts are details that create images that stir up interest and provide a starting point for greater understanding. Little-known facts also sometimes allow books written for an adult audience to find their place in the elementary classroom. A regular sprinkling of little-known facts spices up the classroom instruction as well as individual lives in the classroom by presenting students with specifics to think about and by reminding everyone just how broad and interesting this world is. The third is unusual viewpoints. Color Zoo is an example of unusual viewpoints because it is a book of shapes, one cut out from the center of each heavy page. By overlaying 3 shapes at a time, Ehlert creates the face of an animal, which changes to a new shape and a different animal in each page is lifted. Number 4, fascinating comparisons. Humans do not communicate well in the abstract or complex. We understand much more quickly and clearly when comparisons bring the fuzzy areas into sharp focus. Fascinating comparisons create instant and powerful images, communicating clearly in much the same manner as metaphor or simile. The 5th is the first-person account. When the author has been somewhere or done something and writes about it, the resulting book often has the feel of a personal tour. It is not a recounting of information, but an experience that reader and author seem to discover together. An example of this is My Season with Penguins, where Webb talks about her Antarctic adventures. Besides those main 5 characteristics of quality, accuracy is always the basis of all informational books. Today, we trust the author to have done appropriate homework, and we rely on the publisher to have facts checked. We take the word of the author until other evidence shows we should not.
Informational books are nonfiction and current. Oh, I already messed up.
This genre. Okay, start that over.
Expository writing is.
Number 4 is a fascinating. Shoot, it's not a fascinating.
These books help children gain knowledge about certain subjects they are interested in from books about bugs, such as this book. Oh crap. Shut that off. I'm just going to show it.